Hello and welcome to Two Fish at the Table, a podcast appreciating the entertaining power of poker. I am one of your hosts, Sam. I am the East Coast Samuel on Poker Stars, and OMG, I love Bjork on Party Poker, even though I haven't been able to log into my account for God knows how many months. The other day I tried logging in and the forgot password didn't work.
I am your other host, Ben. I'm known as Legend of Ben on Poker Stars, and I think actually Party Poker now bans American accounts to play money. So
yeah,
it's pointless.
Oh well.
So anyway, welcome to our podcast, and this podcast will be talking about the episodic coverage of the World Series of Poker main events dating back from 2003 all the way to modern day, with a sort of a focus on the characters, the historical component of poker as it's progressed year to year, as well as, of course, poker itself, how it has evolved as a game, as a lifestyle, as a habit, since the poker boom began about 18 years ago, and how it's evolved since then.
Yeah, I mean, we're really interested in sort of talking about poker as entertainment.
As television.
As television, right? You know, I mean, remember, my earliest memory of watching poker was watching Joe Hasham in 2005. Joe Hasham himself being very entertaining, Steve Daneman, Mike Mattis, I mean, such a great final table.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just those particular characters, it was how ESPN broadcast the coverage, all the little segments they did, the nuts, the Jack Beef jerky wild card. The little things that they used to do to make poker entertaining that they don't really do anymore. We want to come back and we want to celebrate that.
Absolutely, because really, if you look back on the main event, you can really kind of break up the coverage into different kind of almost eras of their style of coverage, both their presentation of the game, the actual people that would play the game, and then the style of poker as the game evolved and people changed things up in how they approach the game. And ESPN has for almost has been for now a couple decades been the main sort of, for me, the main source of where I'd watch my poker television, as other programs have existed on other channels over the years, but really my heart has always belonged to the ESPN main event coverage. And I think what makes this our discussion so different from other poker podcasts is that we are really focusing on poker as television, and from the perspective of the average American television viewer. And I say average because we are not poker professionals. We are not even casual poker players on the casino scene. While I've played many games of poker over the last, we'll call it really 15 to 18 years, it has always been as a sort of casual amateur sort of type player. And I think a lot of these other poker podcasts, whether you're looking at Mike Mattisau or Daniel Negreanu, they are their podcasts have a little bit different kind of feel to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's more focused on the host, right? I mean, Mike Mattisau spends so much of his podcast talking about himself, frankly, his political views.
Now, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
He's an entertaining character. Which
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
and you can learn about the game from
mad props to him for having a successful podcast like that. But, I think to the average ESPN viewer, your average Joe, a lot of that content, that podcast, is kind of unrelatable in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't know what GTO is. They don't know what these terms mean. They don't know the math. I mean, the top players, they deserve credit for studying the math so much and being able to make those decisions at the table very quickly. We don't want to take anything away from them.
Absolutely.
They deserve their praise. We enjoy these podcasts. We listen to these podcasts. It's just we want to call attention to the side of the game that we think can bring more amateurs in, bring more average Joes in. Every single year there's an amateur who makes a deep run at the main event.
Yes.
There's Billy Pappas, there's Kui Win, there's John Hess is probably the crowning example, right? These entertaining players who come just out of nowhere, and they make this deep run, and they make millions of dollars. And in Kui Win's case, he wins the whole tournament and becomes the world champion of poker for a year. And every single year when one of these amateurs makes a deep run, Norman Chad and Lon McCarron are saying, oh, we need more of this in the game. We need more of these stories. We need more of these entertaining players. And then what happens the very next year? Another GTO bot wins and does a deep run and gets all the coverage. We want to call attention to those amateurs and hopefully, explore our love of those amateurs and hopefully try to recruit a few more people to go and give poker a try.
Absolutely. And I think that's the great thing about the early coverage of the main event, those early few years, is that as many pros that make deep runs in these tournaments, they still find time in the coverage to give backstories and sort of character and depth to these players that came off the couch and went into Las Vegas and make a deep run and become the chip leader on day 5 and blow up spectacularly. But I mean that's what makes the game so unpredictable and so exciting. I mean, and I think to your point about the money that these people win, a lot of television, you'll watch, a season of a show like Survivor, Amazing Race, Big Brother. They're playing for $1 million, and I think what's forgotten is the top prizes for these tournaments is $8, $9, $10, $12 million, and you would think that the greater scale of these prizes would inspire more people to enjoy watching this television, because it's all about seeing these people walk away with millions of dollars, and you follow them week by week, episode by episode, and you get attached to their journey. You see these amateurs that come from a humble background and they win life-changing money in a couple of days, and they earn it. They don't just spin a wheel and hit the $1 million jackpot. They earn it every card that is dealt to them. They have to fight for this money, and it's really something to enjoy watching.
Yeah, I mean, and every main event winner has their own story. Some of them, being frank, are a little bit luck boxes. They just catch cards and they go all the way to the end. And some of them really do have to earn it. And then there's people in between. There's some people who manage to catch a few hands, but they also play some hands pretty well, And we're going to be exploring that and talking about that. We're not saying we're not going to talk about strategy. We're not going to talk about math.
No.
If something comes up that we like, we're going to talk about it. If something comes up that we don't like, we're going to talk about it. Ben and I, we've both been playing poker for more than a decade now. We both have different approaches to the game. I'm very tight.
To a fault.
Queen 10 suited, I'm just going to fold. Ben's more versatile than I am.
A little bit, yeah. And again, this is all from the play money side of the online poker equation. Let's not mislead our viewers here. But I think us being above average as poker fanatics, but average on the level of commitment to the game, will give us a unique perspective on how to analyze 18 plus years of poker history.
Right.
Because we're not on the professional side, we're not even really on the amateur side. We're kind of just this weird kind of in our own sort of category of a poker fan. And again, props to the professionals out there who entertain us and play amazing poker, and to the amateurs that entertain us if they were bad poker. It's just it's again we are merely. While we will cast our harsh judgments, we'll take it with a grain of salt that we are just enjoying poker, how we grew up enjoying poker, which is on television.
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching for years now. I mean, there were a few years that we kind of skipped, or at least I skipped. I mean, I remember watching 05 a lot. I remember watching 06 a lot. I remember going back and seeing coverage for 03 and 04. And then I don't really remember 07 through about 2015 that well. I did watch, the run it backs with Remco, in which he talked to the winners about those years.
Absolutely.
I've seen those clips since, but I haven't seen like every single episode since. I don't know all the narratives and stories that those tell. And
my viewing habits of poker really kind of ebbed and flowed. It began in the 2004 coverage. This is just after the Moneymaker boom was in effect, and I grew up watching Greg Raymer win the main event in 04, and I was a a regular watcher of the World Series of Poker for the next couple of years, and then I kind of fell out, and then I fell back in, and so some of this rewatch is actually a true rewatch for me. Some of it will be brand new, or maybe not brand new, but it will not have a nostalgic factor to it. So I'll kind of have both nostalgia and sort of fresh experience watching some of the coverage.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of clips. I mean, there used to be a lot of poker compilations on YouTube, mainly of Helmuth, but of different players as well. And, you get like a little bit of '06, a little bit of '07, a little bit of '08, and that's all gone too, and that's a part of the poker culture that I miss.
Absolutely. Watching old hands, seeing the famous blow-ups, the famous coolers, your royal flushes against, quad aces, all these sort of well-remembered hands, and not to mention the hands that kind of establish some of the key poker personalities.
Right, yeah.
But luckily, thanks to Poker Go, we will have access to a lengthy backlog of all the coverage, and we'll be able to parse through and sort of get a good snapshot of what we remember and what you guys probably remember and what's to come, because coming up in the back half of this year, we have both the World Series of Poker online and in the winter, the World Series of Poker in person with the casinos back open. So this will be a great sort of build-up to what is sure to be a action-filled back half of 2021 for the poker community.
Yeah, and we're going to be starting out with '03, and we'll be going year by year. We're going to try to talk about all of the coverage of '03 within one episode, and so on for '04 and '05. We're not going to probably be caught up when the WSOP starts for this year, but if there's stuff, we're going to be following it as it happens live. If there's stuff that we want to talk about that comes up, we will bring it up in those episodes, and then we'll try to have an episode dedicated to 2021.
We'll get there. Luckily we have a lot of fun poker to watch, and a lot of this stuff is nostalgic to me, just like any old sitcom or cartoon when I was a kid. It's in that same sort of nostalgic category. And for anybody actually that is highlighted, featured, playing in any of these episodes, we welcome anybody to join us for our coverage of their respective content, because both over the course of the last 18 plus years, there's hundreds and hundreds of players, amateurs, professionals, one-off shows, champions that will be covered in some capacity, whether it's you're at the featured table or some guy in the way back table in one of the sweeping shots of one of the like the Brasilia room or something like that. And we want to hear from people how their experience was being represented on television during their poker experience.
Yeah, I mean, we don't care if how you performed in a tournament. We don't care if you went on a deep run. We don't care if you were highlighted for playing bad or something. If you have a story that you want to tell on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. You can send in something that you want us to talk about, like talking points. It can be any sort of interactivity. We'd love to hear from you. And then if you're not on an episode of the main event, but you want us to have something to say to us, you want to send in a question, ask us about our experience or our opinions, we'd be happy to answer that as well.
Comment us, send us anything you want us to talk about. We're happy to explore other people's perspectives. Maybe 100 people could watch the same episode of television and have 100 different opinions. So that's the beauty of television, is when you're all talking about the same thing, you're going to have a lot of things in common, a lot of things that are different.
And do let us know if you have any of the live coverage of these events, because we were on Poker Go and we noticed that the live coverage wasn't on there. It was just the ESPN versions of these episodes. We'd love to actually see the hands that they didn't include on ESPN. I know in '06 there was a pay-per-view version of the main event. I was actually able to see some of it at one point. If you have any access to that footage, do let us know, because we would love to see it and talk about that.
Yeah, because the nature of the coverage would shift year to year at times. So while we will be talking about the episodic coverage of the main event, there were years where the ESPN would also live not only like live stream, but like kind of cover the main event live as it was happening, or on a 30-minute delay or so. And a lot of that coverage is lost to time because you have multiple years of the last couple of years. Actually, the main event had been covered day by day live on ESPN1 and ESPN2, but the content has sort of been, I guess, lost in the shuffle. So our plan is really to experience poker as it was presented to the masses in that time as accurately as possible. So that will be one of our projects, is to try to make sure we have a full, comprehensive coverage of each year's main event.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to see what hands ESPN decides to focus on, decides not to focus on, what narratives they try to craft. Because, they're trying to create stories.
Absolutely.
They want to have heroes, they want to have villains, they want to have everymen versus the pros and so on. That's totally cool, and that's their job, but it's interesting to see what they omit and what they don't omit, especially in years like 2016, where certain players got more focused than other players. We would like to sort of see, what exactly actually happened that year as well. In addition to celebrating ESPN, not to bash ESPN or anything, but we would like to actually sort of get a sense of both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you guys can expect our next episode, episode 1, to cover the 2003 main event. That was the first year that ESPN dedicated episodic coverage of the event from the beginning all the way up until the end.
Right.
Not just the final table, not just from day 3 onward, from the very beginning. And that was also kind of the beginning of this entire poker boom era.
Of course, yeah.
And sparked a wave of new players and new style of television, and inspired many other channels to increase their poker television roster.
Yeah, and even though we are going to be focusing on the main event, there are certain events like, for instance, the 08 Horse event that we would like to touch upon at some point. Our focus will be on the main event. We'll go through it year by year, go to 2021. Then we might go to other events. We might even maybe go before 2003. We'll decide then. But for now, we're going to be focusing sort of on the main event, the big event that everybody wants to win. From 03 onward in terms.
Because other events do provide some context to the main event.
Yeah.
A lot of players will be referenced as a 2-time bracelet winner, has made 5 final tables and has never pulled off a victory.
Right,
or a few months ago he got second place in the horse event, and now he's trying to exercise his demons and make a comeback and win this one. A lot of the coverage highlights recent or past events. And so I think those will be covered appropriately as they are relevant to the task at hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, thank you for listening. This has been the Two Fish at the Table Poker Podcast. We hope to see you in our next episode. And again, if you want to engage us in any sort of questions, let us know in the comments section. And we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you for episode 1.